welcome to
Tusky Talks! Today we're going to talk about the post-classical period from 600 to 1450 CE. Now let's blast to the past.
the Sub-Saharan Africa with Sarah Gould.
I'm here in Sub-Saharan Africa, and I will highlight the creation of advanced trading technology, Bantu migrations, and the Kingdom of Ghana. From 1000 BC to 1500 CE, Bantu people migrated from Central Africa into Sub-Saharan Africa. This migration was triggered by the drying of the Sahara and introduced agricultural, cattle herding, and iron to Sub-Saharan Africa. Towards the end of the Abbasid Caliphate from 661 to 750 CE, caravanserais and camel saddles were created. Caravanserais were roadside inns along trade routes, which provided for safe travel, cultural, and economic exchange. Camel saddles were seeded with cloth that were placed on camels to improve trade, travel, and military expansion. The Kingdom of Ghana from 750 to 176 CE was a Sudanic state in Africa. They used territorial expansion to control trans-Saharan trade routes, which led to urbanization of the region. As Islam spread to Africa, kings adopted it for easier trade. In the end, the state was weakened by nomadic raids.
Thank you, Sarah G. Please stay with us for the short commercial break featuring the camel saddle. Don't you always wish it was Wednesday? Well, every day can be hump day when you get yourself a camel saddle. Camel saddles bring the ends of both you and your goods from falling off of your camel. It improves trade and travel, and who knows what it can do for you. What day is it? The day to get yourself a camel saddle.
Head over to Nordale Jackson, who's stationed in East Asia.
During Song in China in 960, the appeal of Buddhism made Confucians reevaluate their own philosophy, which led to the creation of Neo-Confucianism, a modern version of Confucianism. It emphasized complementary opposites and reinforced class, age, and gender distinctions. The Tang dynasty, lasting from 618 to 907, had the first empress, Wu Zhao, who was the only woman in Chinese history to rule in her own name. She strengthened the central government by reducing the power of landlords and removing their taxpayer power, and created an accurate census for her people. She ruled when the Tang dynasty reached its furthest geographic extent.
Thank you, Nordale. During the late Song era, around 1100, upper-class women began the practice of foot binding. Foot binding became popular as a means of displaying status. The practice of foot binding also became popular as men preferred women with smaller feet. Foot binding contributed to even greater gender inequality, given that it made it more difficult for women to move for a longer period of time, thereby weakening their role that they can serve in society. From their lack of mobility, their lives became managed by male figures. You want on more of that Chinese culture, am I right?
Now let's head on over to Western Europe with Skylar Ogden.
Japan, Europe also had a feudalistic system, blossoming with the Pope, kings, and lords at the top, and vassals, landless knights, and serfs at the bottom. Serfs were either slaves or peasants who worked the land and gave a portion of their harvest to their lords. I had the chance to catch up with a very powerful emperor from Western Europe. Let's take a look at that. Hello, Charlemagne. My name is Skylar Ogden. Tell me about yourself.
Hello, Skylar. I belong to Carthaginian family, and I'm grandson of the very well-known Charles Martel. Aside from conquering most of mainland Western Europe, I was crowned the Holy Roman Empire by the Pope himself.
How did it feel to be crowned the Holy Roman Emperor?
With my crowning, I confidently knowing that I rightfully hold the Roman throne, being that I am heir.
What efforts have you personally put into maintaining your empire?
I maintained control through many military tactics and through the assurance of loyalty via an administrative system divided amongst my countries. Each county was granted a powerful landholder, a count, to administer justice and to raise armies for my empire.
What a swell guy. Unfortunately, after his passing, his kingdom was split into three under the Treaty of Verdun, which was signed in 843.
Charlemagne, my main man, rest in peace, bud. Let's head over to
The Byzantine Empire with Cortland Blake.
Thank you, Kashiki. I'm Cortland Blake, and I am here in the Byzantine Empire. Justinian, a great Byzantine emperor, codified Roman law in his Corpus Iuris Civilis, which means body of the civil law. It served as the basis for civil law codes that developed throughout much of Western Europe. Even after his death in 565, his law codes were used in the Byzantine Empire. Now let's go to Russia.
In the 800s, the Cyrillic writing system was invented by two missionaries, Saint Cyril and Saint Methodius, so they could communicate with Orthodox followers in their native language. This helped greatly in Russia when people started converting to Eastern Orthodox. In 989, Prince Vladimir I converted to Eastern Orthodoxy for trade and commercial reasons. This conversion served as a conduit for spread of Byzantine culture, trade, and influences into Russia.
Cutting to Sarah in sub-Saharan Africa.
Hi, this is Sarah checking in again in sub-Saharan Africa to talk about slave trade in the Indian Ocean, Mansa Musa, and the travels of Ibn Battuta. In the 800s, sub-Saharan Africa started to increase the use of slave trade. This use of slavery gained popularity after Islamic conquest in Africa. Islamic merchants would trade gold, salt, and slaves, especially women and children, with other regions such as East Asia, East Africa, and India, or Southeast Asia. The Kingdom of Mali from 1230 CE to 1620 CE was founded by Sundiata, but thrived under Mansa Musa. Musa went on a Hajj to Mecca around 1324 to 1336 CE. On his pilgrimage, he gave out so much gold in Cairo that the metal's value declined. After turning back from Mecca, he built mosques and madrasas, further encouraging the spread of Islam throughout the kingdom. Timbuktu, a city in the Mali kingdom during the 14th century, became a major trade city and a center for Islamic learning with many universities. Ibn Battuta, an African Muslim traveler, traveled throughout different regions such as Constantinople and India. His pilgrimage was from 1325 to 1354 CE. Most of his stops were within Dar al-Islam. Before his death, he narrated his travel to a scribe. This account gives information about life in Islamic land and conveys the ties that Islam created across diverse cultures and regions. Here's an excerpt from his famous travels. I left Tangier, my birthplace, on Thursday, 2nd Rajab 725, being at that time 22 years of age, with the intention of making a pilgrimage to the Holy Mecca and the tomb of the Prophet. Now back to the region. A change in the sub-Saharan region is the elite following the new Islamic faith. A continuity is the practice of animism and the trade of gold and salt throughout Africa.
Now that we're gone from that, let's head over to
The Byzantine Empire with Cortland Blake.
I'm here in Constantinople, which was made the capital of the Roman Empire in 330 by Emperor Constantine. The split in political authority between Rome and Constantinople led to a split in religious authority, with a pope in Rome and a patriarch in Constantinople. The two branches of Christianity started developing different practices and operated independently from one another for many years until in 1054, after centuries of disagreements and tension, Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox Christianities officially split. This became known as the Great Schism. Constantinople became the political, economic, and cultural heart of the Byzantine Empire, as well as the center of Eastern Orthodox Christianity. As you can see, here's a map of the regions of the Great Schism. Over here in the west are the Roman Catholics, over here in the east are the Eastern Orthodox. The Byzantine Empire was an economic powerhouse, and after the arrival of silkworms, the site of a thriving silk industry from about the 4th century to the fall of Constantinople in 1453. The Byzantine silks were highly desirable and matched the quality of Chinese silks.
Nothing like some woven silk textiles. Now back to Cortland in the land of Russia.
In 1240, Russia was conquered by the Mongols, a nomadic group from Central Asia. They were known as the Khanate of the Golden Horde, or the Mongol Tartar Yoke. The Mongols destroyed cities that resisted them and killed and sold people into slavery. The Russian princes were forced to pay tribute to the Mongols, and feudalism developed as peasants sought protection from the Mongols. During this post-classical period, both Russia and sub-Saharan Africa were similar in their monotheistic religion they practiced, with Eastern Orthodox Christianity in Russia and Islam with the elites in sub-Saharan Africa. However, they differed in that Russia had patriarchal societies, whereas sub-Saharan Africa had the existence of matrilineal societies. Changes in this region were the conversion to Eastern Orthodoxy and the start of the Byzantine Empire as a silk industry. Continuities were the existence of the empire as a patriarchal society and the Christian control of Constantinople.
What interesting similarities and differences. Now let's talk with Ivan III, who ended the Mongol rule of Russia in 1380 CE.
Hi, I'm Cortland Blake here with Ivan the Great, the Grand Prince of Russia. How did you deal with the Mongol Golden Horde?
I felt that Russia should no longer be subject to the Mongols and stopped paying tributes to the Mongols. 4 years later, after the unsuccessful campaign of the Khan of the Great Horde, the Mongol Tartar yoke was overthrown.
What are some of your greatest achievements?
Besides being one of the longest reigning rulers in history and earning the title Ivan the Great, I relocated the capital to Moscow and expanded my borders greatly.
Again, I'm Cortland Blake here with Ivan the Great. Thanks, Ivan, for your time.
You're welcome.
Privyet.
While Cortland was stationed in Byzantine Empire and Russia, Maria and I went down to Novgorod!
Novgorod is a popular trading city located in Russia during the post-classical era. Now let's rush on over to
East Asia with Nordale Jackson.
Das Vidanya.
During the post-classical era, both Japan and Western Europe were similar in their socio-political structure of feudalism and their warrior classes within it. However, they differed in that Japan was geographically isolated, therefore supplying them with the ability to selectively borrow cultural ideas from China, whereas Western Europe didn't have that option due to location and thereby incorporated cultures that came to conquer them. We're again in East Asia, but now it's the 12th and the 13th century. Today we are featuring the samurai, the Bushido Code, the Japanese feudal system, and we will also talk about the Mongols and the Yuan dynasty. Now wow, a Japanese warrior called a samurai. These professional devoted warriors called samurai supported their lords by providing them with police and military services in exchange for food, clothing, and housing. This is referred to as the feudal system. Japan's feudal system relied on an individual and group loyalty that were held by the ideals of honor, not contracts. Although samurai were granted land rights from the lord, they did not own the land, which in result created a clear social distinction between the lords and the samurai. Every samurai lived by the Bushido Code, or the way of the warrior. This code emphasized complete loyalty to a samurai's lord. However, if a samurai failed his master, he had to end his life by seppuku, a ritual suicide by disembowelment. Next, we will feature the Mongols and the Yuan dynasty. But first, let's head on back to Maria and Kashiki.
Thank you, Nordale.
Please stay with us as we pause for this short commercial. Are you tired of slow cooking rice? Well, get yourself a fast maturing, drought resistant rice, champa rice. Originally grown in Vietnam, you can't go wrong with this healthy choice. You're gonna wanna chomp on this, am I right? Hi, while Noradale is stationed in Japan, I'm going to be talking about the Mongol Khanates here in Karakura, the capital city of the Mongolian conquest and the basis for their invasion into China. The Great Mongol Empire formed the largest land-based empire of all times. The Mongols were a nomadic tribe with excellent horsemanship and archery skills. One of their most famous warriors is known as Temujin. In 1206, right here in Karakoram, he received the title of the universal ruler, Genghis Khan. He unified the Mongols and pierced the Great Wall of China in 1211. His vast empire reached from Eastern Europe to the Pacific Ocean. A change in East Asia is the conversion of Buddhism to Neo-Confucianism. A continuity in East Asia is the rights of women throughout China. That conquering beast.
Now let's talk with Marco Polo, who visited the Mongol Empire in China during the Yuan dynasty.
Hello, I'm Nordale Jackson here with famous European traveler, best-selling author, and dad, Marco Polo. Marco!
Hola, someone got my name.
Can you provide us with your backstory?
Hello, Tusky Talks. I'm Marco Polo, a Venetian merchant traveler and trader. I first went to the court of Kublai Khan around 1274. At the age of 17, I entered the service of the Great Khan and spent close to 2 decades traveling Kublai's vast empire.
That's very interesting. Did you ever return home to Venice?
After 24 years of traveling, I did indeed head back to Venice to find my home city at war with our rival trade city Genoa. I was captured in prison and was soon released in 1299. I now serve as a wealthy merchant with a wife and 3 children.
Well, that's certainly not the expected welcome home gift. Did you ever keep a record of your travels?
I made a written account of all the sights, people, and events that I've experienced here in Asia. While I was in prison, I shared these events with my other cellmates. It's now a bestseller across all of Europe.
That definitely sounds like a good read. I'll have to check it out sometime. Thanks for spending time with us today. Now back to Maria and Kashiki.
Now I am craving some pasta.
Let's head on over to Schuyler Ogden in Western Europe.
Meanwhile, in England, King John was causing great upset among his people. In an attempt to salvage the rights of the nobles, the Archbishop of Canterbury drafted the Magna Carta in 1215. Its purpose was to protect barons from illegal imprisonment, protect the church's rights, and limit feudal taxes. Let's fast forward 100 years to the Hundred Years' War in 1337. There was tension between France and England due to the non-fulfillment of a promise regarding land made by Philip VI to Edward III of England. Joan of Arc led France to a victory, and she was later canonized by the Roman Catholic Church as a saint after being burned at the stake by the church. Soon after the Hundred Years' War, the bubonic plague, more commonly known as the Black Death, broke out, killing 1/3 of the European population. The disease was first recorded in Central Asia, leading some to believe it was carried by the Mongols on their conquer ships. A change in Western Europe during 600 to 1450 CE is the creation of a nation-state, and the continuity in this region is the practice of Christianity.
Thank you all for traveling with us on this worldly journey.
We hope to catch you next time on Tusky Talks. Until then,
Hello! What's my part? Okay, ready? Set, go. Hello!
Oh my god! Ouch! I don't want her. Someone get someone else here.
2, Tusky Talks.
You have to wait for me to get it!
2,
Tusky Talks.
2.
Did she use this?
Don't you want on more of that Chinese culture? Am I right? Rice?
Oh, that scream is further back!
Christianity got my Santa.
Oh god. Get that thing
Got
away
my
from
China
me.
and wait, where are my flowers? Vietnam, nom, nom.
No, it failed! He's a good giraffe.
Good job. Good lion. What is this?
Hedgehog.
Good.
Mongol tartar yok.
Go.
The Tang Dynasty.
What the frick is a dynasty?
Marco Polo. I share this adventure with all my other cellmates. It's now a bestseller across all of Europe.
That definitely sounds like a good read.
In third hand, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Is cause okay, hold on. I thought that was a different.
Oh, hey!
I'll start to increase these. Actually, from 1324 to 15.
Here's an excerpt of Ibn Battuta.